Hello and welcome to this at-home mobility video. I'm going to have you keep your foam roller handy for a little bit later. And to start, we're going to sit down, close the eyes, and we're going to start to take some big, deep breaths. Breathing in through your nose, let your belly expand. Out through your mouth, let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Big breath in. Big breath out. Relax from the base of your neck all the way down to your tailbone. Big breath in. Big breath out. Soften your jaw. I'm going to have you bring your hands to your knees, sitting cross-legged. And we're going to start to make some nice rotations through the hips. Almost like we're doing a cat-cow variation. As you rotate forward, you're pulling your chest forward. And as you rotate backwards, you're arching through your upper back. And I want you to stay connected to your breath the entire time. Breathing in as you bring your chest forward. Breathing out as you circle back. Really seeing if you can root down into your body. Switching directions. Maybe setting the intention to call back all of your energy from your day. Call it back from conversations that you've had, places that you've been, any past thinking or future thinking. Just letting yourself be completely present in your body. The only thing that you have to do is this. Good. So we're going to find ourselves in a tabletop position. So we're going to stack our shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, and we're going to tuck our toes under. We're going to do a cat-cow variation. Taking a big breath in as you pull your chest up to the sky. And big breath out as you arch your back. Taking any intuitive movement through the hips and the neck. Not everything has to be super structured. And now, I'm going to have you step a leg forward. Hands are going to be placed on the inside of your foot. And you're just going to rock back and forth. Getting a nice stretch through the hip flexor and the hamstring. And again, see if you can stay connected with your breath. Big inhale as you move forward. Exhale as you move back. Your connection to your breath is what connects you into the present moment. When you're ready, we're going to go into a child's pose to transition. Maybe placing your forehead to the floor. Let's just take some big, deep breaths. See if you can send your inhales to the middle of your back. And if it feels right, maybe linking fingers behind you and stretching through the shoulders. That'll be really nice if you have a desk job. And then as you're ready, pushing yourself up we're gonna do that rocking back and forth on the opposite side. So same thing, find your breath. Notice if this side feels a little bit different. It's perfectly normal for one side to be a little more limber or tight. And see if you can really just let go as you do this. Loosen your muscles. And now from here, make your way down to the floor on your back. And we're gonna do quite a few windshield wipers with the knees. So if you just watch me, knees are gonna be stacked, one in front of the other. Arm will come out to a T, and the opposite arm is just gonna reach up and above the other. That way you're gonna get a really nice stretch from your hip all the way to your shoulder. And now I'm going to have you hug your knees into your chest. Maybe just finding a little rock back and forth. And when you're ready, we're going to tuck the hands behind the knees, just rolling the length of your spine. And making your way up to your knees. We're going to go into a shoulder rotation. We're going to go for about 5 backwards and 5 forward. Notice how I'm tucking my toes under. And I want to keep my pelvis neutral as best as I can. Trying to avoid leaning backwards. And notice how my neck follows wherever my hand is going. And as you're ready, we're going to switch sides. Same thing on this side. Notice if you feel different in this shoulder. We're never going to force a range of motion that doesn't feel right for our bodies. So just go with the range of motion that feels good for you today. And from here, we're going to go back into a tabletop position. Palms will be on the floor, fingers facing towards you. And we're going to go into some hip circles. Finding some mobility in the wrists and the forearms. Feel free to do this one hand at a time if this is too much. And now we're going to do top of the hand on the ground. Palm faces up. Maybe opening and closing through the fist. Stretching through your fingers and your thumb. And finding that on the other side. Good. And now I'm going to have you grab your foam roller. And we're going to start to roll through the middle and upper back. If rolling down to your lower back doesn't feel quite right, just skip that part. Maybe just pausing to open, doing whatever feels good for your body. You can always place hands behind the head for a little bit more support. And from here, we're going to start to roll into the glutes. So I'm just leaning over to one side, letting my feet and my hand guide me. Finding some big, deep breaths. And if single side is too much pressure, feel free to do both sides at once. You would just face forward. Maybe switching sides. And now we're going to roll into the quad. So you're going to be kind of like in a frog position is the best way I can describe it. We're going to be using the forearms and the opposite knee to push back and forth. Again, if this is too much doing the single leg version, all you got to do is just straighten kind of that froggy leg and put that leg on the roller and do both at the same time. And if you're doing the single leg version, switching sides, notice how I'm working up into the hip flexor, and then I'm going just above the knee. Again, do what range of motion feels good for you. This is what's comfortable for my body. Doesn't mean that yours has to look the same. And now we're going to work through the hamstrings. Option to do both at once. We're just lifting the seat off the floor, being mindful not to arch in the lower back, or maybe taking the option to do one at a time. If you're crisscrossing your leg, like you see me doing in the video, that will be a more challenging version. Instead of crisscrossing the ankle over the knee, you can certainly just keep that foot on the floor like I'm showing you now. And now we're going to make our way back onto the floor, onto our backs. And we're going to straighten one leg. And then we're going to bring the other knee across the body. Just finding a little bit of intuitive movement here before we transition. Maybe going into a happy baby. Notice how I'm using my peace fingers around my big toes. Just finding a little bit of movement. Just do what feels right for you. Good, and now we're going to straighten the bottom leg. Going into a rotation, top leg comes over with knee bent. Maybe bringing arm out to the side of the leg that is straight. Just doing whatever version of this feels good for you. Just getting into the side body. And switching sides when you're ready. And just finding any little movement that you might need, any other stretches. An option to rest in embryo pose. It's kind of like child pose. Knees will come together and then your arms are going to fall behind you. You could clasp your hands behind your back for an extra shoulder opener. Or option to rest in Savasana. Arms and legs are nice and long. And we're just going to breathe. Taking a big, deep breath. Starting to come back into the room. Of course, if this feels right for you, you can stay here for as long as you need. Thank you for letting me guide you today, and I will see you next time.